Good morning, Bucknutters. It is Tuesday, December 15th, 2015. I am Dan Rubin. This is the Bucknuts Morning 5 and change. Happy to be joined today by Duane Long. Duane, how are you doing this fine morning?
Oh, man, enjoying 60 degrees in December. This is just way too sweet.
It is impressive. Even in the Gem City, it's not necessarily going to be great today. All that said, I'm told we'll be freezing our nuts off by the end of the week. But I digress. As always, man, is there a lot to get to here with Duane. Duane has not been on for over a week, so the action has been fast and furious on a number of fronts. First thing we want to talk about, quarterback recruiting. I'm sure everyone has been following this as Bill Kurlick has done just a masterful job of keeping us up to date. But Tristan Wallace, the one-time Ohio State quarterback commitment from DeSoto, Texas, apparently thought better of his college career, wants to play receiver or athlete, has flipped to Oregon, and the Buckeyes are now back in hot pursuit of their original number one quarterback, Dwayne Haskins, out of Bullis, private school just outside of Washington, D.C. in the ritzy suburb of Potomac, Maryland. Dwayne, bring us up to speed on kind of your vibe on the whole situation, and then maybe give us your scouting report on Haskins, what you think of him.
Well, I go back and I look at Wallace. When I first saw him, I thought, wow, let me see some senior film before I can get excited about this guy as a quarterback recruit. Great-looking athlete. He made a smart decision, I'll tell you that right now. So many of these guys that should be athletes, we can one we can look at is Terrell Pryor, who need to realize they were good high school quarterbacks, but they're not going to play in the NFL. They do have a chance to play as athletes, and this kid seems to have figured it out. I saw senior film, and I didn't see he's just got a really bad motion. He's not real accurate, and I understand his offensive line really didn't help him out this year, but I just did not see a quarterback in this kid, so I think he made the right move. I don't know if we really had a choice at that point, to try to argue for him to come into this class when, he wanted to play positions we were not looking at him for. We needed to get a quarterback in this class, and I could not be happier that we're back in on Haskins. I love the kid from the start, absolute dart thrower. He's got the arm. He's got poise in the pocket. The thing I think is being overlooked is because he doesn't run, doesn't mean he can't run. I think the kid could be a real nice athlete. He's just been conditioned to be a stand in there and throw it quarterback, and I could not be happier that we're back in on this kid. As good a just pure passer as you're going to see out there this year. I hope this happens. I think it's in the best interest of Ohio State. I wish Wallace all the luck in the world. If we get Haskins, this could not be I'd call it a coup. I'd call it a naked jaunt coup. He's just that kind of a quarterback, and to trade a guy we weren't sure was going to be a quarterback here for a guy who absolutely is. It's just a red letter day if we can make this happen.
I said this before on the show. I had a chance to speak to Duane in person this past summer. He is, first of all, as we always do on this, he's a legitimate 6'3" or bigger. I was really looking up at him, like my hulking stature. Very impressed, man. Sharp kid, kind of seemed to know what he wanted, and he used the word dream school in Ohio State first out of his mouth, and this was when he was already committed to Maryland. All I asked him was, do you still answer the phone? And he said, it depends on who's calling. And I said, what about Ohio State? He said, I'd answer it probably by the second ring, something like that. So that would be tremendous. We will stay tuned on that. Duane, we've also talked about the roster and how many guys they can take in the class. A lot of that's affected by who leaves and who stays. I think there's some obvious guys who we think are going to leave, obviously the Bosa's and the Easy and Cardale have already announced it. There's some more interesting guys, I think, that have a decision here that I want to talk about. One of them is Darron Lee, redshirt sophomore. If you look at the mock drafts, there's some that have him as high as number 12. Do you think Darron Lee will go, or do you think he should go? What's your vibe on the number 43?
I think he's the one that he could go, and it's probably going to work out good for him. But I still think another year. He's got so little experience, Dan. He's not played a lot of, he played a lot of offense in high school, and more offense than defense. Yeah, and he played receiver some, but he getting over to safety, he played some there. Impressed, but you got to realize how little time he spent at linebacker. I think he gets stronger. I think the one thing that I look at with him and think he needs work on is his take-on skills. You let him out and he's out running loose, he's a first-round draft pick. But eventually at the NFL level, they're going to say, that guy right there, we can run at him. I think another year under Mick would, even if he's not, even if there's not that much improvement under Schiano, I think that if Mick gets a hold of him for another year, adds maybe another 10 pounds of good muscle, I think it'd be in his best interest. But I still think he's probably, his athleticism, his playmaking ability, he's probably going to go in first anyway. So, it's really a matter of what he wants to do.
He's such a great fit for where the NFL is right now. If this had been 10, 15 years ago, and you're talking about the classic 4-3 linebacker, maybe it wouldn't be quite as good a fit for him. I just look at the NFL right now. The ability he would have to he might be able to cover tight ends in the slot, rush the passer from the outside. I just think he brings so much to the table that he's going to go. I also think he's an extremely smart guy. Leadership, comes from a great family. So he's a worthy investment, and I think they look at that very intently as a guy. Also,
I think so too. I think that you have to look at, the off the field anymore. It's so glaring these days with such a spotlight on these guys that having good guys, good locker room guys, it definitely plays into it. And I think that's another place where Lee is going to score with flying colors, and they're going to say, yeah, this is the kid we want. So, yeah, I think he'd be even better coming back for a year, but he's going to go. He'll be a first rounder probably anyway.
Yeah, and not to mention he's already learned a new position in 2 years, which shows his football aptitude, which means he's going to be a willing investment, no question. The way I look at it is I have a team that I root for, and I say what I want him on the team, and Darron Lee is, if he's not at the top of the list of the Buckeyes that are going to be draft eligible, or possibly he'd be very close. But this is the most interesting one to me. Defensive back, cornerback, Eli Apple, came into the year with some whispers of pro potential. I thought he had a good year. I wouldn't say he had a great year. What are your thoughts on Apple? Obviously, he's got plenty of time left, but he is eligible to leave if he wants.
I think he really does need to come back. I think he's probably going to go higher than we think he's going to go based on potential, but I just saw too many. Once you get to the NFL level, you got to be more of a finished product if you want to stick around. And I don't think he is. I saw, I look at Central Michigan, or the West, was it Central Michigan or Western Michigan? Western.
Yep, Western.
He had a rough go against a good guy. Yeah. There were times where he's been just a little bit more vulnerable than a first-round NFL cornerback should be. I think he should come back for another year. I don't know if he's going to. I think a lot of these guys are just going to bail just because they don't want to be part of a rebuilding effort. That really does resonate with me. That they're just not going to want to do it. So Apple, he should. I don't think he's going to though.
You think he's going to leave?
Yeah, I think he's.
I do too. And I think what's going to happen is he just has the ideal frame and a cornerback. What they're looking for now, another great fit in the NFL. And truthfully, one-on-one coverage in the NFL has gotten to the point where it's virtually impossible anyway, so I'm guessing they think they can teach him that. I thought he struggled against bigger-bodied receivers that were able to kind of play basketball with him and box him out, but I would also not be surprised to see him go pretty high on the draft just because of his frame and his pedigree. So, like you said, I wish he would come back. I think it'd be better for him and the team, obviously. I will say by the end of the year, I thought Darron Conley was playing better at corner. And, yes, Apple was matched up often against the other team's number one receiver, but it did seem to me, and I would have to obviously speak to these guys if I haven't, that they were avoiding Conley more than Apple. Here's one that we've reported he wants to leave, and I'm kind of surprised, Jalin Marshall.
Oh, does he have the body to work? I don't know. The NFL wants to see the load of film on a guy, and I don't know if he's had enough touches. And he hasn't shown as a pattern running down the field receiver so much. I think he's making a big mistake. I really think that he needs to come back. I don't think it's not going to be what he thinks it's going to be. He's got the athleticism. I think that he could light up the combine. That's where I think that he is going to really help himself, is getting in there. As you said with Apple, he's going to go in there, he's going to measure out beautiful, and he's going to run beautiful. But I just don't see the body of work with Marshall yet that he can think that he's going to go to the NFL. I think that this is a mistake for him. Do I think he's going to go? Oh, I think he's leaning toward it. I think he wants to. I think the evaluation when it comes back is going to tell him a lot. I would think that if he thinks he's going to be a first rounder, then obviously no, because there's just no way he's going to get evaluated as a first round pick. I think it would be a real surprise that he was a second round guy. I'm thinking maybe third round pick, and if that's good enough for him, well, he's got to go ahead and go then. I just don't think that there's been enough. He's had enough touches and enough film to show the NFL to be a guy that is going to go high as he wants to go.
When you're talking NFL, obviously you're projecting and et cetera. I see Jalin Marshall. I don't really see him as an every down receiver in the NFL. I would compare him more to the guy the Giants have. They got from the Cowboys, and Dwayne Harris, kind of a all-purpose return guy. I think Marshall is more explosive than Harris, but I'd love to see him come back and really develop his craft as a punt returner, as a kick returner, as maybe a slot receiver, as an extra guy. I just don't see him as an every down receiver. It did not look natural to me. I could be wrong. He could go in there and do it. Ted Ginn's still running routes and getting paid, but that would surprise me. That said, according to everything we've heard, Jalen's gone. He does not want to be in school anymore, which is understandable. It's not for everybody. But there's going to be an exodus, and we are on top of it. That's the kind of thing we will send you a newsletter on the second we find out. Duane, I want to finish up with what I believe was just some incredible news of since the season ended, or since the interim between the Bulls started. Ohio State hired Greg Schiano as its defensive coordinator. I said to someone the other day, you've got a strong program when you hire a defensive coordinator that will be the best head coaching hire of maybe any program that was open except maybe one. I guess I'd accept the argument at Miami for Mark Richt. But your impressions of the Schiano hire, both Schiano, the coach, and maybe what kind of impact you think he could have on the program, and maybe what it says for the program to attract someone of his stature.
The thing that just stands out to you is what you said there about what program can hire a guy who has been, you would say he's in his prime as a coach, NFL guy, and here he is as the Ohio State defensive coordinator. How many schools could pull that off? You would think, well, he'd laugh at you and say, you want me to be the head coach, or did you actually say you wanted me to be your coordinator? That's just a massive hire to get this guy. And I had a friend tell me, well, he's only going to be here a couple of years. I said, that's a couple of years where we're going to be a better football program. There's no doubt about it, the impact this guy had. Look, Rutgers is, all due respect to Chris Ash, this is not a good football school. And Schiano had those guys winning over there. They went through a period of when they were a contender. I mean, just with guys that you haven't seen a lot of those guys banging around the NFL. He's just that good a football coach. He's going to come in. He's going to be a great recruiter for us. I don't care. If we just keep him 2 or 3 years, I'm going to be happy. Look at what Ash did in a couple of years he was here. This is what Urban Meyer is going to do. He's going to hire coaches that everybody wants to take another level, a step up to another level. The coordinators become head coaches. The position coaches become coordinators. That's what he wants. I think that really hurt Trussell in the end, especially on offense. He wasn't having any kind of turnover. And when you don't have turnover, it's saying your coaches are not they're really not that good. So that's what Urban Meyer is going to do. He's going to continue to hire guys that make a difference, who are going to be moving on in a few years. One of them leaves, go get another one. That's the way it's going to be. And this is just a massive hire. This guy is going to have instant recognition anytime he walks into a recruit's living room. So I want to get him on the road as quickly as possible. Out there talking to recruits. I mean, this guy, they remember him on the sideline of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So I think it's just a massive hire. And for as long as we keep him, great.
The idea of sending Urban Meyer, Greg Schiano, and Larry Johnson into some defensive player's living room to close the deal, I'm not exaggerating when I say this. It may be the most convincing trio of recruiters based in the history of defensive recruiting. But I know that sounds like an egregious statement, but think about it. Larry Johnson is arguably the best defensive line recruiter in the country. Schiano's pedigree combined with Urban is just incredible. I'll reveal this. In Bucknuts, we exchange a lot of information amongst each other. And when the name Schiano got brought up, I think I even said, now that is amazingly interesting, and Duane said the same. I didn't think that was even a little too glorious for my hopes, and it worked out. So very impressed. That is going to do it for us today. I think if you paid attention today, 2 words jump out: naked jaunt. Okay, so it's on you, Dwayne Haskins. If you want to see the naked jaunt from your brother Duane out here in Ohio, let's get it done. Let's have a great day, Bucknutters.